Let's go to this conversation now. President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to deliver the keynote address at the 17th Biennial Conference of the International Association of Women Judges in Cape Town. The event will bring together around 900 legal professionals to discuss gender-based violence and femicide. This is the first time South Africa will host the conference under a female Chief Justice. To unpack the event's significance, we are now joined by the Judge President of the KwaZulu-Natal High Court Division, Judge President Thoba Poyo-Dlwati, who's joining us this morning. Judge President, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. What's the message that we will be giving the conference tomorrow when it starts, considering, once again, as we started this bulletin, we spoke about a 6-year-old who has allegedly been raped by a foreign national, a 7-year-old who was allegedly raped also in school. And these cases just continue and continue and continue. How do we get rid of this femicide as well as gender-based violence? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Aldrin, and good morning to your viewers. And thank you for having the South African chapter of the International Association of Women Judges. That is exactly what we want to come up with. We want to come up with a groundbreaking resolutions that can be able to address this scourge of gender-based violence. As you have correctly said, it's there every day, and it's shocking. The children, 6, 7-year-olds and the likes. So it's not a South African issue. It's not something unique to South Africa. Hence the theme of the conference, because this is an international body. So we want to hear other people's experiences and expertise, put together some solutions that can be able to help eradicate this scourge, this pandemic that is facing our society.
Yeah, and as you rightfully say, that it's not only something that faces the country, but it is happening at a global level. From the work that has been done previously, because gender-based violence has always been an issue that has been highlighted, has there been any work to look into what are some of the challenges that are preventing us to get over this particular hurdle? Generation in, generation out, again, we are dealing with gender-based violence.
The one of the causes, Aldrin, of the gender-based violence, as was articulated by Chief Justice Maya in 2018 when there was the Gender-Based Violence Summit, she said gender-based violence comes from the inequalities that are experienced by the abuse of power, by the control that one person seeks to have over the other. So those are some of the basic challenges. So as long as we still have the inequalities, as long as we still have the abuse of power, as long as we remain silent when some of the injustices are happening before us, it's going to be difficult. It will take a whole society. It will take a whole community to address it. It's not a women issue. It's not a men issue. It's a societal issue. And I think if the inequalities that are faced outside by the society can be addressed, maybe it will begin to lower the scourge of GBV and femicide.
I want to go back to a judgment that you once dealt with, a Judge President. It's a 2016 judgment, the Thembelihle Ngcobo case. But as we speak here about the children experiencing violence from a very young age, in that particular case as well, that was the experience of Thembelihle. And I just quickly want to read from the judgment. You had written that after having suffered physical and emotional abuse at the hands of various relatives, you further witnessed domestic violence perpetuated on your grandmother by her partner. So meaning that we also have a situation where you have children who become victims of a gender-based violence or violence in general, but this trauma then lingers on even into their adulthood.
Yeah, that was one of the unique cases. In fact, I remember that case like yesterday, and I was still very new in the judiciary. As they say, somebody who has been done wrong will continue to do wrong to others. I don't know why that does not end. Because in that particular case, Thembelihle had been abused by the uncles, had seen GBV to her own grandmother. And imagine now her children saw what was happening to her, and they probably will do the same. So it's a perpetuation of that act throughout. And if it's not addressed and it's not arrested somehow, then we're going to face some big problems in our society.
Yeah, then speak to us about the role of women leadership in the judiciary, and from their unique vantage point, because yes, as you say, that this is not, it's not a women issue per se, it's a societal issue, but women have a unique vantage point in the experience or a purview of what exactly women are dealing with when it comes to gender-based violence. But from a judicial perspective, how do you enforce that within the judiciary as well, where the judiciary becomes a place where women can feel safe and they don't become victims of secondary violence? Because we also know that while we deal with the stats of gender-based violence, those are only on reported matters. There are matters that go unreported because of the stigma and the fear of secondary victimization.
As you've correctly said, Aldrin, because of us being women, we are uniquely positioned in the sense that we are naturers, we are compassionate, we tend to be consistent with what we do. And it is something, and once a victim, can you imagine a victim walking into court and sees a woman presiding? Already they're thinking, there is my mother, there is my sister, she will better understand what I'm going through. It's about the victim, how they feel, how are they able, because a courtroom is very intimidating and it makes somebody not to relate their story properly. And we know in the criminal justice system, that is very key, because once there are inconsistencies, the defense counsel will harper on those. But when they walk into that courtroom and they're comfortable to talk, they're comfortable to open up, already it makes the victim at ease. It makes us uniquely positioned. And there's nothing much different that we're doing than our male counterparts, but it's about how the victims, because even if you're asking a question, no matter how harsh it could be seen, they will understand that you're doing it for that reason. Whereas in their own minds, if it's a man, it could be interpreted differently. So we are consistent, we are compassionate, we have the empathy for these victims. And also we make sure that our courts are user-friendly, particularly for children. Our justice system has really evolved in that area. So us now as judicial officers, that is what we are bringing. And we've seen that it works, particularly for the victims.
Yeah, and the role obviously is to adjudicate what is before you and the evidence that is before you. I just want to quickly bring in the Omotoso case and what was highlighted in the Omotoso case by Judge Skuman, and that is the role of the NPA and the prosecutors. When there are lapses from the prosecutorial side in terms of bringing cases to the fore, she had argued, for instance, in her judgment, that there was no intention of actually seeking the truth, that the cross-examination itself was shallow, which means that the victims themselves are also failed by the prosecutors. What should be done from the prosecutorial side, at least, to ensure that when cases are being brought before judges like yourself, that there is evidence, and evidence that is compelling to bring about a case that the judge could say that the case has been proven beyond any reasonable doubt?
We need training of all those that are concerned in the justice system. Remember, it starts with the police when they investigate. They must not stop when they get a confession or an admission. They must still investigate the matter, because we know every day those confessions or admissions get disputed. Then from the police, it goes to the prosecution. They need to prepare. You need to prepare your case before you come to court, because there is a defense counsel who is going to attack it. So you need to make sure that you have prepared. There is nothing that can beat a well-prepared prosecutor or a defense counsel, because as you've correctly said, and as I said, the judges adjudicate what is before them. If a witness comes and testifies and their evidence is not disputed, it is not challenged, we take it that is unchallenged, that is not disputed. So we have to find, and defense counsel will argue, that it was never challenged. Hence, when the prosecutors or the defense counsel are sitting in court, they are not just sitting there, they're making notes. They're making notes about what is the version that was put to the witnesses on behalf of the accused. What is the version that was put contradicting what the witness has said? So that at the end of the day, when that accused comes and testifies, then you are able to say, but this was what was said. This is what has happened. Why didn't you bring this? So if there is anything left undisputed, it is taken as if it is admitted. So I cannot emphasize it anymore that we need experienced prosecutors. But even if you don't have experience, you need to train them. You need to make sure that they are ready, they are well prepared. We prepare for every case that comes before us. We don't have a small case, we don't have a big case, but you have to prepare. You have to research, you have to know the law. So those are the key issues that we need to make sure. And I'm glad that you're saying that we adjudicate cases that come before us, because it's not just us. It's about everybody that is involved in the system. The police, the prosecutors, the interpreters, everybody that is there. So that is what we are dealing with.
Yeah, all the best with the conference, Judge President, and hopefully after some of the resolutions that have been passed, we'll have another chat and also speak about some of the successes. Like yourself, for instance, one of the youngest Judge Presidents that we have in the country, and a women Judge President at that as well. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. That is the Judge President for the KwaZulu-Natal High Court Division, Thoba Poyo-Dlwati, and this is ahead of the 17th Biennial Conference of the International Association of Women Judges, which starts tomorrow.